Welcome to the laboratory. Since you guys are online, we decided to give you a little bit of laboratory experience. I know you've been going through models in AP1 and that sort of thing, but in AP2 we do dissection. So I wanted to bring you into the lab and actually do a couple dissections with you. Okay? So the first one we're going to start with is the heart. So I have a couple hearts here. I have a cow's heart and I have a sheep's heart. So we'll start with the bigger heart and then we'll go to the little heart. But this is a foal's cow heart. And we want to look at some of the outer features. First of all, this is your pulmonary trunk. This is the front of the heart. This is the pulmonary trunk. And you can see basically this area right here is the coronary sinus. We split this open and we can see the different divisions of the heart. Okay, so tissues, we have the epicardium, we have the myocardium, and then we have the inside, which is the endocardium, which we'll take a look at over here in the sheep's heart. But the first thing you have to do when you're trying to figure out, when you've got on your practical, what is the name of this valve, or what is the name of this valve, or what is the name of this chamber, you have to decide which is the right and left side of the heart. And the way to do that is to run your hand right down what we call the interventricular septum. This divides the ventricles, interventricular. And what you look at is whichever side, if I'm going to put my pointer right here, so I'm going to line it up right down the middle of that septum. Which side is bigger? Well, obviously this side is bigger and this side is smaller. Run it over here. This is the bigger side, this is the smaller side. Always, always, always the bigger side is the left because that's the one that's doing systemic circulation. That's the side that's got to send all this blood to the rest of the heart. So once you've got the sides done in terms of left and right, then you want to look at the chambers. And you know you have the atria and the ventricles. And if you look at this heart, what I almost all see is ventricle. All of this from here down is ventricle. These little guys up here, that's your atrium, and I'll show them to you more over in the sheep's heart. But this is atrium here and here. So all of this is ventricle. This is the pumping action of the heart, okay? So this is the left ventricle, this is the right ventricle, here's your whole right ventricle, left ventricle. I've cut this a little off center so you can see more of this valve better. But there's your right ventricle, left ventricle. Now, once you know the size of the heart, then that tells you the names of the valves. So what you learn is you've got two different kinds of valves. You've got what are called atrioventricular valves and your semilunar valves. Your atrioventricular valves run between the atrium of the heart and the ventricle of the heart. Okay, from here to here. And you have two, right? Because you got two sides of the heart. For the right side of the heart, which is here, this is the tricuspid valve. It has three attachments. We'll see it better on the sheep's heart. Tri-right, that's usually the easier way to remember this. Now, on the left side of the heart is the mitral valve or the bicuspid valve. And I've basically left this valve almost intact so that you can see this valve and actually how it is working, okay? So for your atrioventricular valves, you have the valve, and then attached to the valve, you have the chordae tendineae, the tendons that are attaching that are going to open and close that valve. And then they are attached to a muscle right here, which is the papillary muscle. That contracts and it pulls these, and that closes that valve. Okay? So, mitral valve, tricuspid valve. All right? Now, the other two valves are semilunar valves. These prevent the blood from backflowing back into the heart once it's been pushed out. And they are called semilunar valves because they look like little half moons. I've got a part of one right here, and I've got a part of one right here. But you have one going to the pulmonary trunk, which is the pulmonic valve or pulmonary semilunar valve. And you have one going, which is right here. This is ventricle, the left ventricle. So you're going into, here's your aortic semilunar valve right here. And again, I'll show it to you on the sheet. All right, so I just wanted you to see a bigger picture of this to make it a little easier. Now I've been able to take the sheep's heart and really fillet it open to make it a little bit easier for you all to see, and so you can actually see what some of these features look like. So let's go through this again. Here's our interventricular septum right there. So this is the left side of the heart because this is the bigger, and this is the left side of the heart because this is bigger. So that makes this valve here and here the mitral valve. And because of the look of this, you can actually see the valve here. You can see the chordae tendineae, and you can see the attachment right there at the papillary muscle really nicely. If you're in the lab, you can see they're really they're tough. The chordae tendineae are tough. I'm pulling on that, and that's not breaking. Okay? And we have over on our right side, you can start to see some of it. This over here, it's really tucked in, probably can't see, is your tricuspid valve. What's really nice with this one is we're actually able to see, trying to spread this open, some of that aorta coming right out here with your aortic semilunar valve. Again, it's been cut here, but you can actually see these. All right. The other features I wanted to bring into to show you is, in addition, some of the coronary circulation. And we're going to kind of go back to the cow heart here, because basically if you look at this, we've got, here's your atria. You can actually see this really nicely. This is the atria here, and these little flaps are called the auricles. So this is an atria. This is an atria. You can see the little flaps, the auricles, and see how small the atria are compared to the ventricle. This is just a holding chamber. That's all it does. If you look here, this is the separation between the atria and the ventricles. All right. This is where your coronary sinus is. This is where the coronary vessels dump into. And if you look here in our cow's heart, you can see all the fat around it, and you can see the vessels right here coming through. Okay? Okay, so that's our trip through the heart. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope that this helps you with trying to get the information that you've got to know, trying to figure out what's the left side, what's the right side, what's the name of this valve, what's the name of that valve, and hopefully this has helped you.